Welcome back to another lesson. This is the third installment in my Jazz Piano and Harmony series, where I try to cover in a methodological way the basic concepts of harmony and theory, mostly as they pertain to jazz piano, but not necessarily just to jazz piano. In this lesson, we're going to cover chord substitutions. What we're going to do is we're going to use the simple melody that we've laid out in the previous lesson. That is, we're going to take the melody of Judas Maccabeus by Handel and use chord substitutions to enrich its harmonization. So let me just begin by reminding you what we've played. The first version I'm going to play is going to be harmonizing using just the tonic, subdominant, and dominant in the key of C major, and I'm going to use triads. In the previous lesson, we've seen that we can use seventh chords to harmonize the same melody. And this is how it sounds. So far, everything we've done, or all of the harmonizations we've done, used only 3 degrees, which were the tonic, the subdominant, and the dominant, 1, 4, and 5. Now we're going to introduce the other degrees as chord substitutions. So what is a chord substitution? A chord substitute is a chord that you can put in place of an existing chord which fulfills its same functional role. So let me give you an example. What is the functional role of the subdominant chord, the 4? Well, the role is either going back to the 1 or going ahead to the 5. So when you hear a 4, you kind of instinctively expect a 5, which can then resolve back to the 1. So if we can find other chords that want to resolve to the 5, then these would be appropriate chord substitutions for the 4. And the 4 chord has actually one substitution, which is the 2. In the key of C major, it's a D minor. So instead of playing an F major, we can substitute a 2 minor, a D minor in the key of C. Because a D minor also wants to resolve to the 5, which can then resolve to the tonic. So a 4, 5, 1, or in a 4, 5, 1 progression, you can change the 4 for a 2 minor. Meaning that the 2 minor is an adequate substitute for the 4. What about the other 2 important degrees we've been using, the tonic and the dominant? Well, the dominant, the 5, has a substitution, which is the chord built on the 7th degree. And this is a half diminished chord. So the idea is that instead of playing a 5, I can play a 7 half diminished. Now, this isn't a strong substitution. You don't use it as much, because let me just play you a progression. Let's say that you're playing a 1 to the 4 to the 5 to the 1. Now, using substitutions, I could play instead a 1 to the 4 to the 7 half diminished to the 1. Now this is slightly weaker than this. So it's not used as much. It's even more obvious when you use seventh chords. This is not as strong as this. So the dominant seventh wants to resolve to the tonic more than the seventh half diminished wants to do so. But it's still an adequate substitute and people use it. Finally, for the tonic there are two substitutions. One of them is the 3 minor and the other is the 6 minor. So basically whenever you see a 1, you can substitute a 3, which will be a minor chord, or a 6, which will be a minor chord. In the key of C, wherever you see a C major, you can play either an E minor, which is a 3 minor, or an A minor, which is a 6 minor. Now let's put all of this to use. Let's take the melody we played at the beginning, which is Judas Maccabeus, and play it again, only now I'm going to use all of these substitutes. So in different parts of the song, I'm simply going to switch some of my chords, some of my harmonic degrees, with substitute degrees. So in some cases, this is also a matter of taste. There's more than one way to use chord substitutions, just like there's more than one way to harmonize a song, even using just the 1, 4, and 5. I'm going to play it and you'll hear, hopefully, the difference. Compare this to the original version. So the chord substitutions definitely make the progression more interesting. And they also, the idea that you can take certain degrees and substitute them with chords with other degrees that play a similar functional role, gives you a lot more flexibility when harmonizing your songs. Now, some of these substitutes will actually not sound good. I can probably try different combinations and come across some that don't fit. Even though I know that it's likely that I'll be able to substitute a 3 minor for a tonic, for the 1, it's not guaranteed that any such substitution will necessarily sound better to my ears. So there is a lot of experimentation that's left up to the user. The idea in harmony always is that harmony is a suggestion, a theory actually is a suggestion of things that would probably or might sound good. It's not a recipe for sure success. And this is the mindset that you should approach jazz piano harmony with as well. That's it. I hope you've learned something interesting. And in the next lesson, we're going to discuss the extremely important concept of secondary dominance. That's it. I'll see you next time.